All right, you guys still see me? Laura's giving me the yeah. Okay, so make sure you guys have your thing ready to go because I'm going to be calling on you guys. Okay, so I'm going to say, hey, Janelle, what's 3 squared? And then she's going to turn off her mic, and then she's going to go, 3 squared is, she's going to say 9, right? Thank you, John. The link does not work, so I'm setting something else up. Okay? All right. You guys ready to learn? Get your learn on. Get out a sheet of paper, get the notes out, whatever you have. Let me know if you can't see this. Can you guys read this? You guys good with that? If you don't say anything, I'm going to assume yes. Tim, we're good? All right, bud. All right, so I'm going to go through our lesson for today. I got chapter 1-1, day 1, and that's going to match up with your homework, okay, My Math Lab, all right? We're going to talk about distance and midpoint. That's our goal 1 and 2, okay? And then we're also going to talk about graphing equations by plotting points and using your graphing utility. Okay, so we're going to need our calculators. And goal number 4, find intercepts and a graph. We're going to do that on Friday, the next time I see you, okay? Looks like I have a big old hole in my head. Look at that. It's kind of silly, huh? Oh, man. All right, you guys ready? Warm up, label. Brr, it's cold in here. Warm up. Label everything you guys know about the rectangular coordinate system. What do you all know? Give me something. David, what do you know? There's 4 quadrants. Yes, sir. We use Roman numerals when we do it. And the upper right one is Q1. Where's Q2, y'all? Top left. Good job, David. And then you work your way around. This is Q3. And then we have Q4. Okay, so we have our 4 quadrants. Awesome. What else do you guys know about the rectangular coordinate system?
The horizontal line is the x-axis.
Who's talking here?
Raman.
Raman, what do you got, dude?
The horizontal line is the x-axis.
All right, so that horizontal line is the x-axis. Again, you guys are being recorded right now, just so you guys know. Okay, so we got the x-axis and then we got the y-axis. Okay, that's the up and down one, the vertical. Okay, horizontal is the x-axis, and we have somebody in the waiting room. You guys got booted. All right. Things that you guys should know about the x-axis and the y-axis is the x-axis, the horizontal line, is a y equals 0 line. And the x-axis is the opposite. The y-axis is then x equals line. So the x-axis is y equals 0, and the y-axis is x equals 0. Okay? What about this guy right here where the 2 axes meet? OMG. What do we call that?
The vertex.
The vertex? Ooh, close. Starts with an O, Mary. You remember that one?
The origin.
The origin, okay? So that's perfect. So nice job, guys. And again, the origin is where x and y are both 0. So 0, 0. Okay? So that's a key word, a vocab word. I'm not a big vocab guy. Like, I'm never going to quiz you on vocab words, but those are words that we should know what they mean. Okay? All right. I think, if I'm looking at my notes, I think that's about it. That's the big stuff that y'all need to know. Except there's one more thing we got to talk about. Okay? What do you guys know about all of the points in quadrant 1?
Positive.
They're all positive. Very good, Jake. So if they're all positive, you need to know how your textbook is going to describe that, okay? And the way your textbook describes it, positive means it's greater than 0. So your x's in quadrant 1 are greater than 0, and then also your y's. And then in quadrant 2, who becomes negative?
X.
The x's. So now the x's are less than 0, and the y's are positive or greater than 0. Okay? So this is a less than sign. That's a greater than. And again, if you guys can't see me, see something, or you can't hear me, let me know. But if I don't hear anything, I'm assuming you can read all this. Okay? Quadrant 3, now they're both negative, so we would say x and y are less than 0. This is how your textbook describes negative numbers. And then in quadrant 4, we're going to the right now. X's are positive, but the y's are now below, so the y's are still negative. Okay? So make sure you understand that when they're talking about the different quadrants on what x or y are positive or negative. Okay? Y'all good? All right, this is where I need you to take out your graphing calculator. Okay? And if you don't have one, I'm telling you guys, you're going to need one. Okay? If you have a Casio, I'm not going to be able to help you. We need a TI 83 or 84. Those are very similar to each other. Okay? If you don't have one, let me know. We can hook you up. Okay? I'm going to go to y equals. So I'm going to press y equals. And I got to zoom in real tight and turn this light off. Okay? So I'm going to go to y equals. Do you guys see this here? And I'm going to type in a function. I'm going to type in, let's go 2x. X is next to the alpha button. So I'm going 2x minus 3. Now, when you do the minus sign in between things, make sure you're using the one next to the 6, not this guy down here. Okay? We hardly use that guy. Okay? It's always the big minus sign. So I have 2x minus 3. Let me get it so it's clear. Okay? 2x minus 3. Okay? And then I'm going to, when I graph, I don't press graph, I press zoom. Zoom is right in the middle. So I'm going to press zoom and then 6. Now you can move your cursor down with your directional pad, or it's just faster to press the number 6. So I always call this zoom 6. This is called zoom standard. Okay? So I got a nice pretty line here. Okay, so if you have y equals 2x minus 3, you should have a nice, pretty line. You guys good with that?
My calculator said an error.
Okay, now this is why I'm doing it. Now, some of you guys have a dim mismatch error. Is that what you're getting, Lucas? Dim.
I already have to know.
Are you getting a dim mismatch error?
Let me see. Yeah.
Okay, so this is where I need you to go to y equals. Okay, and then you have one of your plots on. So one of the last things you guys might have done in Algebra 2 is you guys might have done box and whisker plots or scatter diagrams or something like that. And you probably have one of these on, or one of your buddies turn that on or what have you. So what you need to do is go up there and press enter, and it turns it off, so none of them should be highlighted. Okay? And then when I do zoom 6 or graph it, I should get my graph now. Okay?
Yeah, it works.
You guys good with that? All right, let's get on. Okay? Now, when I look at zoom standard, it's a pretty nice looking graph, right? When I count these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there are 10 tick marks to the right, to the left, up, and down. Okay? And that's your X min and X max values. The biggest X value is 10, and the smallest or minimum X value is negative 10. And the highest or maximum Y value is positive 10, and the lowest value is, or minimum value is negative 10. Okay? Well, when I go into my window, so you guys see zoom is in the middle. Window is right next to in between Y equals and zoom. So when I press window, let me get it so you can see it. That nice and clear now. When I press window and I've pressed zoom standard makes this negative 10, 10 for my X min and max and my Y min and Y max. Okay. Now X SCL means X scale. Okay. And that's just basically saying for every tick mark, you're counting by ones. So there's 10 tick marks. And if I'm counting by ones, then I'm at 10. If I was counting by an X scale of 2 and there's 10 tick marks, then that would be 20, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, window, Y min, Y max, Y scale. All this other stuff below Y scale we don't care about. All right? Don't worry about that. I can change my window, and that will make the window bigger. Okay? I'm going to change my X min to negative 20 and my X max to 20. So I have X min negative 20 and X max 20. And then I'm going to graph. Don't go back to zoom 6 because it's going to restart it or reset it. And now I have 20 tick marks here to the left and to the right. So this goes all the way to positive 20 for the max and negative 20 for the X min. Okay? Now, from time to time, you might want to use the window. Later, as we go through this course, I'll show you some of the other zoom like zoom fit and zoom standard and zoom trig and all that good stuff. But if you're using the window and you make a mistake, sometimes people will type in, I'm going to do X min as positive 100, and then the X max is negative 100. Do you see the mistake I'm making there? I have the numbers mixed up, right? So the negative is the max and the positive one is the min. Ain't gonna work. So when I try to graph this thing, I'm gonna get a window range error. They're just saying, it doesn't work. Do not compute. It doesn't work. Okay. So quick fix. If you ever get a window range error, just go window or go to zoom 6 and now refresh it for you. Get it all started. Is anybody having issues graphing? Any error messages that you're not sure on what's going on? All right, so what is it going to look like on My Math Lab? They're going to give you, or they could give you, something that looks like this. Okay, X-res we don't care about. So they're going to give you a graph. Let me zoom out just a little bit more so we see the whole thing. So they're going to give you a window, a graph, okay? And they're going to ask you to fill in these values, okay? So when I take a look, we need to come up with the X min and X max. So take a look at our graph, X min and X max. What do we got here, gang? What do we got here? Let me pick on somebody. Braden, what's the X min and X max? Can you see that? Brandon, do you see that? Or is it Braden?
Yeah, it's Braden.
Let me get it so you can see it here. So look at the x-axis. What's the lowest number and the highest number listed there?
-5 and 5.
There you go. Okay, perfect. Now my scale is what is each tick mark worth? So I count, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it goes to 5 and there's 5 tick marks, 5 divided by 5, the scale is 1. Okay? Joey D, what's the Y min and Y max?
18 and -18.
Perfect. So 18, negative 18. And now look at our tick marks. I've got 1, 2, 3 tick marks. Well, how the heck, what are they counting by if it's going all the way 18, but there are only 3 tick marks? What are they counting by?
6.
How'd you do that?
Divide by the tick marks.
There you go. So if you know what the max is, divide by how many tick marks, that's going to give you your scale. Awesome. Was that Joey again? Somebody else? Was it Joey? Nice job, Joey. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. All right, let's giddy up. Any questions before I flippy flip to the other side? All right. All right, goal 1 and 2. Here we go. Distance formula. I want to find the distance of these 2 points here. How far is this point to that point? Okay. So given 2 points, x1 and y1, and the other point, y2, x2 and y2, sorry about that. So given 2 points, we want to find the distance. Does anybody remember the distance formula? Anybody remember that?
Is it x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1?
Ooh, that's close. That's slope. We're going to be dealing with slope soon in chapter 1. This one has a square root. And there is subtraction of x's and y's in this one. So it's the square root. So that was a good guess. But it's the square root of x2 minus x1, quantity squared, and then plus y2 minus y1, quantity squared. Now, quiz or test, we are never going to ask you, hey, what's the distance formula? In fact, we would give you either a note card, and you could write the distance formula on there, okay? Or the formula would be on the test. You don't have to memorize these things, okay? Well, we want to find the distance of these from these 2 points. I like to label them so I don't get confused. So this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, because I want to be consistent on how I set it up. Okay? So I'm going to write the formula one more time. x2 minus x1, quantity squared. And then plus y2 minus y1, quantity squared. All right, x's. What's my x2 minus x1? Melody, what's x2 minus x1 here?
3 minus negative 4.
3 minus a negative 4. Now, what happens to you guys if we subtract a negative? What happens to y'all?
Turns into a positive.
Turns to a positive. Awesome. So that's really 3 plus 4, like Melody was saying. That's like real life stuff, guys. If there was like a negative person on Zoom and yelling at me and whatever, I would just delete them. I would remove them, and then it's all positive again. Yeah? Is that crazy? Oh, better be nice to me or you're out of here. Yeah? All right. Y's. Dylan Turner, what's the Y's? Give me the Y values, dude.
2 minus 5.
2 minus 5. Good. All right, we do a little simplifying. 3 plus 4 is 7 squared. 2 minus 5, we know is negative 3 squared. Okay. Y'all know 7 squared, 7 times 7? 49. And what is negative 3 squared? What's negative 3 times negative 3?
9.
Positive 9. Okay. Just be careful if you're using your calculator and you're squaring negatives because you're like really dependent on that thing. Put a parenthesis around negatives if you're squaring. Okay, if you don't, then your calculator reads it as the opposite of 3 squared, and it will give you -9, which is not what you're trying to get here. Okay, simplify that. 49 and 9 we know is the square root of 58. Okay. This is a simplified radical. You could try breaking that down, but I think it's like 2 and 29, and that's not going to break down at them anymore because those are prime. Okay. See what my math lab's allowing you to take. They might say, hey, give me the decimal, and that's totally fine if that's what they're asking, or they might say simplified radical. Would you like to see like a radical broken down on how to do that again? Do we need to see that? Yeah, I need to see that? Okay. So this is like a different example. So this has nothing to do with the square root of 58. I'm going to choose the square root of 48. Okay? Well, I want to break that down. So if they ask me to simplified radical, I got to break down 48. So give me two numbers for 48. So I always do factor trees. So give me two numbers, multiply together, give me 48.
16 and 3.
16 and 3. Look at that. Boom. All right, let's break down 16. What do you got? 4 and 4. Okay. Now, for me, I would have stopped right there and circle the 4s. Okay. I would circle the 4s, and my answer would be 4 root 3. Some people might keep going and go 2 and 2, 2 and 2. You got a pair of 2s right at once. You got another pair of 2s right at once. And then, this 3, he's left on the inside. Okay? Whatever's written outside, you write and multiply together. Anything left on the inside, you multiply together. And my final answer is 4 root 3. Okay? There's a bunch of different ways to break 48 down. You could do 16 and 3. You can do 2 and 24 and 2 and 12. You could do 4 and 12. And then break down 12 is 4 and 3, and you got a pair of 4s. Okay? Any questions with breaking down, y'all? Good? All right. Where did they come up with this formula? You guys have any ideas? Look at what I'm doing here. What shape am I making? What is that? What is that thing?
Right triangle.
Yeah. Do you guys know any famous formulas for right triangles?
Pythagorean theorem.
Oh, the most famous one, the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? You guys remember that one? Well, this is C. This is your distance squared. This is the difference of the y's, and this is the difference of the x's. This is x2 minus x1. This is y2 minus y1, and this is your distance. Well, this guy squared plus this guy squared equals this one squared. And then you square root both sides to get that distance. Okay? Exact same thing here. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay? If we're trying to verify that this triangle is a right triangle, sometimes you can't just look at it and be like, yeah, it's a right triangle. Sometimes you look at it and you're like, maybe? It's close. Maybe it's 89 degrees. It's really close to 90, but I don't know. So this is how we verify. We double check that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Or we double check that the small side length plus the medium side length squared is equal to the big guy squared. Okay, that's what we're checking when we're verifying. Okay, so that means we sometimes have to use distance formula 3 times. We need to find the lengths of AC, AB, and BC. So we need to find those lengths. Okay? Now, it's hard to tell maybe when you guys are at home, but right now, these guys are perfectly on the X and Y axis. So the Y axis goes here, and the X axis is there. So A is right on the origin, and the origin is 0, 0. And this guy, B, B's right here. That's B. Don't worry about that. B is right at 0, 4. And C is right there, and that's at 3, 0. Okay? Now, given these 3 points, we could do distance formula 3 times, right? Do we have to do that for this one? Joey's shaking his head. Do we have to do that, Tom? Do we know this distance from 0, 0 to 3, 0? How far is 0, 0 to 3, 0? Just 3, right? Just 3 steps away, 3 boxes. We don't have to do distance formula sometimes. So we know AC from 0, 0 to 3, 0, we know that distance is 3. Okay? What about from 0, 0 to 0, 4? How far, how many boxes is that? From 0, 0 to 0, 4. Juan, what do you think?
Would it be 4?
Yeah, just 4 boxes away. You betcha. So AB is 4. Now, this one, BC, because it's at an angle, I can't just assume that that's, 6 or 7 or 5 or whatever I think. This is where you're going to have to do your distance formula. Okay, so one more time, I want to find BC. I'm doing x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 quantity squared. I can zoom that in just a touch so you guys see that a little clearer. Okay. All right, so you guys can plug those in. I'm going to start here with my x. I'm going to go 3 minus 0. And then y2 minus y1, I'm going 0 minus 4 quantity squared. You guys, can you see that all right? All right, simplify. What's 3 minus 0 squared? 3 minus 0 is what? 3? 3 squared is 9. Did I hear a niner in there? And then 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. And then what we get is the square root of 25, which we all know is 5. So we find BC is 5. So last but not least, we verify. We want to make sure the small one squared plus the medium one squared is the big guy squared. So pick the little guy. The little guy is 3. The medium guy is 4. And the big guy is 5. Is 9 plus 16 equal to 25? You betcha. So the answer is yes. This is a right triangle. If I go through the process and it doesn't equal the big guy squared, then the answer is no. It is not a right triangle. Okay? Now, I gave you a super easy one because I didn't have to do distance formula 3 times. I only had to do it once. But you might run into one where you have to use distance formula 3 times. Okay? Y'all have any questions with that? All right. Last goal. We're almost done here, gang. And you get out a little early today. Midpoint formula. Midpoint. Middle. Right? So let's say Tom was playing golf. Tom. He shoots a 50 on the front 9 and shoots a 40 on the back 9. So he shot a 50 and a 40. What was his middle score? How do you do that?
45.
How'd you do that?
50 plus 40 plus 90 divided by 2.
All right, so you found his average, right? You take the one score and the other score, you add them up, and then divide by 2. That finds the average. That finds the middle, right? Exact idea here. If I have 2 points and I want to find the middle, I'm going to take my x's, add them up, and divide by 2. That will give me the x value. And then find the y middle. Take your y's, add them up, divide by 2. And that's going to give you the coordinate point that's right in the middle. Okay? All right, so I'm going to move this down, zoom in a touch more so you can see nice and clear. I have 2 points here. I have 9, 7, that's x1 and y1, and I have negative 5, 11, that's x2, y2. Okay? So I'm going to use my formula. I'll write it here one more time. x1 plus x2 divided by 2. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. I'm going to take my x's and add them up. Now, you guys are super smart. You're doing my math lab. You could probably do this in your head, and I'm totally fine with that. Just know how you do it. Take your x's. What are my 2 x values? What do we got? Emily M., what are my 2 x values?
9 and negative 5.
All right, we're going to add those up. So 9 plus a negative 5 is just like 9 minus 5. And we know 9 minus 5 is what? 4. And we know 4 divided by 2 is 2. So far, so good? All right, Yari, I'm going to pick on you. What's my y's? Choose my 2 y values.
7 and 11.
Awesome. So I take those 2, I add them up, 7 and 11. Time for a Slurpee. 7 plus 11 is 18. 18 divided by 2, we all know is 9. So my coordinate point that's right in the middle is 2 comma 9. Okay? Super easy, right? Add the 2 numbers, divide by 2, add the 2 numbers, divide by 2. The only way to make this harder is they'll give you a point and they'll say, hey, we got the origin. So then we have to know what the origin is. All right, Henry, you remember what the origin is?
The middle of the x and y axis.
Yeah, what numbers do we use for the origin?
0 and
0,
0.
0, boom. Okay, well now all we have to do is add these up and divide by 2, all right? So I'm going to take my x's, negative 4 plus 0, and divide by 2. What's negative 4 plus 0 divided by 2? What do you guys get? There you go. Same thing with the y's. We take negative 9 plus 0 and divide by 2. What's negative 9 plus 0? Negative 9. And then what's negative 9 divided by 2?
Negative 4.5.
There you go. Boom. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Okay? And that's about it, gang. That's all I got for you with notes. Do you guys, if I look back at our goals, do you have any questions with distance formula, which is what we did up here? Or do you guys have any questions with midpoint? Y'all good? All right. I'm going to share my screen one more time so you guys know where to find the homework. Okay? So I will share with you guys one more time. All right, so again, I'm in the week 2 homepage. You don't know how to get that? Here's the original homepage. We go to week 2 because today's the 18th. No, today's the 19th. You guys are my blue squad. Okay, so if odds are pink or orangey color, and then even numbers, period 4 and 8, which are you guys, you're the blue squad. Oh, gotta let somebody in. Joey got kicked out here. All right, so here's the blue squad. We just went over our day one notes, okay? Now look to the next day. I will not see you guys. The asynchronous day for you guys is Thursday, and that's where I post your assignment, okay? So I go to chapter 1, day 1, My Math Lab. I click that, and there we go, okay? There's 11 questions you got to do. Your goal is 80% or better, okay? Once you get 80%, you're good to go. But again, I wouldn't do the first 8 questions and then leave off 9, 10, 11 if you're an 80% kind of person, guy or gal. I would definitely make sure I know how to do the whole set, okay? And then skip over. It's like, oh, I just did this. I could skip over this one time, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for today. We normally get out of here at 1:30, and it is 1:12. So use your time wisely. You guys have time to work on My Math Lab. If you want to get out of here, you can. If you want to stick in here, you can. Whatever you want. If you're having issues with My Math Lab, talk. If not, you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julia.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. See you guys.
At one point, you were having trouble focusing the calculator.
John, what's that?
At one point, you were having trouble focusing the camera to the calculator.
Yeah, you can do second up and down. Is that where you're?
Yeah, second, and then press up, and then you have to press second to increase it, or lowering the brightness a bit helps.
Okay.
Cameras.
I'll take a look at it.
Second of all, I remembered it when we were doing midpoint 2 years ago back in geometry. I wrote a script for my calculator that it's too bright. That does midpoint distance and a few other things for me.
Nice. Awesome.
It's backward, but it lists, endpoints and then complementary and supplementary.
And you wrote that yourself?
Yeah, it's not hard to write the basic calculator programs.
That's awesome.
Then there's just a lot of stuff that you can actually put on the thing.
No, there's tons of stuff you can do.
You said no Galagon on the phone, but you never said anything about the calculator.
That's awesome. I was just watching Avengers, so that's where I got that from. Awesome.
Yeah, can you help me here?
What's up, Michael?
My math lab code, for the course wasn't working.
All right, so my first question is, are you going through Canvas? Are you
Yeah,
Are you typing the code in, or are you copying the code?
I copied the code in.
Okay, so you've copied it, right?
Yeah, I copied.
Now, you have to go through My Lab and Mastering. Like if you have an old tab from last year's Algebra 2, you can't use that. You have to go via Canvas.
I just did the Open My Lab and Mastering.
Okay, so you go there, and then you got to press on the yellow Open My Lab and Mastering.
Yeah, all right, I did that.
And now you should have that link copied, and then you just paste it in there.